welcome to Shred Cels episode 66. I'm your host, Alex Schmitz, and with me here today is Andrew Gleason.
Hi.
And Jeremy Zajac.
Hey.
Hey. How are you guys doing? We are here to talk about The Legend of Korra, episodes 7 through 9 today. I know we had talked last podcast about how we were doing the Tatami Galaxy, but we weren't able to get a ton of people interested in doing that besides myself and Matt. So we're going to do that probably at the beginning of next semester.
In the words of Gabe Newell on Half-Life 3, it's not happening.
It's not happening.
It's never gonna. It's
gonna happen.
It will.
He'll just surprise us one day and release it on Steam. Like, here it is. No build up. Just here it is.
I think that would be the best thing ever. Because think about that. It would make national news. It really would.
It would literally. I honestly believe that Steam and probably a lot of servers would just literally melt.
They would. They would literally.
Steam
break
would
down.
definitely crash. Like, there's no doubt.
Oh my God, Steam would not function for the rest of the week.
I can imagine, and most video game forums would just completely explode.
It's true.
They really would. It'd be fun though. Think about that. Like you could watch that happen. That would be amazing.
Fun.
It would literally break the internet.
All right, so if you guys haven't been listening to us for a while, you'd be interested to hear that we are part of Tech Heads, which is part of AVW Productions, a media production organization here at Ohio University. We here at Tech Heads do all sorts of cool things: video games, movies, music, anime, all sorts of cool stuff. Andrew and Jeremy are bobbing their heads as I go through the spiel that I do on every podcast.
You did it on my podcast the one time.
I know I did because you were doing it badly.
Because I'm trying to not sound like you or an infomercial.
All right. So before we dive into The Legend of Korra today, we're going to talk about a little bit of news and the animation we've watched since last time. There was actually a good bit released over the Thanksgiving break because there was this event called the Noitamina Announcement Conference. Noitamina being an animation block that airs anime in Japan. They've done a lot of really good stuff like Psycho-Pass, I believe Anohana, like a lot Terror in Resonance, a lot of good shows, a lot of original anime come out on their block. So that's a bunch of new stuff. Like a bunch of new shows, a lot of them based on these novels. The two original ones, one is called Punchline, being animated at Studio Mappa, the studio that is doing Shingeki no Bahamut this season and did Terror in Resonance. Original anime, looks colorful, animation looks nice from the trailer I saw. Bit of fan service in it, so that's a little worrying, but we will see. The other one, and this one I'm actually quite excited for, is one called Kotetsuju no Kabarani. Don't know how the hell you pronounce that, but it's being produced by Studio Wit, the studio that made Attack on Titan, directed by Tetsuo Araki, the guy who directed Attack on Titan, and is being written by Ichiro Okuchi, the guy who wrote Code Geass. So all those things sound like a dream come true for me for an original anime.
So giant robots fighting titans. Is that what I'm hearing?
I'd be behind that.
Couldn't be any worse than that Marvel thing.
That is true.
That came out, right? Was that a thing?
Yeah. It was worse than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, really?
I didn't read it because I just didn't
really bad.
think
But
it was a good
neither
choice.
here nor there.
I don't know how that happened either.
It's popular. Marvel's popular.
Yeah,
bad things happen.
It was a bizarre crossover for sure.
It was definitely the Guardians even showed up at some point. So
really,
oh yeah.
All right. Well, also with this, they released the trailer for the Psycho-Pass movie that looks really good. And this is separate from Noitamina, but they announced Beyond the Boundary, Kyokai no Kanata, KyoAni show that was released earlier this year, is getting two movies. One of them a recap movie, so not very excited about that. Second movie being an original film, presumably a sequel to the TV show. I quite like that show, so that's pretty cool for me. And moving on to the animation we've watched since last time. I've just been keeping up with the fall season of anime, and I just threw my pen, but I don't care. I wanted to talk about one show in particular because it really impressed me. The new episode just came out today because the three anime that I've considered to be the best of this kind of season are Rage of Bahamut, Shirobako, and Your Line April. Those three have always been at the top of my list. And there's been this one, it's called, the English title is Yuki Yuna is a Hero. It's one that I heard absolutely nothing about when it started. Started watching it. It was pretty good. It's like a magical girl show. Focuses a lot on the action, though. Like, actually, the battle scenes are pretty good. But it showed that it was doing like these dark things near the beginning, but I was expecting it to go full Madako on us and kill somebody, but it didn't. So I was like trying to predict what the show was going to do, and it was doing things that I wasn't expecting it to do, and I liked it for that. And it sort of was building on this unease, and you knew something bad was going on, but you didn't know exactly what. And so last week, things were fully explained about all the bad things going on, and this episode was like a full drama of one of the characters coming to terms with that, basically, and it was like really dramatic and almost brought me to tears, and a really good gut punch, like fantastic episode. I'm pretty excited now to see if this show is able to wrap itself up well in the last three episodes.
I think you cry a lot when we watch anime.
I don't believe it or not. I am not actually that cry of a person. I will admit, Toy Story 3. End of Toy Story 3 made me cry.
I think everyone had, pardon my English, but bitch tears at the end of Toy Story 3.
Okay, yeah, everybody our age did, yeah.
Yeah, everybody who grew up with it definitely did. And if they lied, then they have no soul, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I will tear up with some anime. Clannad, I am fully willing to admit, made me weep.
Yeah, you wept like the third time you watched it too.
Oh yeah,
so.
every time I watch Clannad, I will fully admit that. So I am not I'm neither a baby when it comes to that sort of things, nor am I the most hardened of hearts when it comes to that sort of thing. Gag me. All right, I know Clannad is not Jeremy's favorite thing in the world. Andrew, what are your thoughts on animation you watched since last time?
I was already saying, like Clannad, I think we already covered this one.
We
covered that.
2 podcasts, actually.
Yeah, we did. We really did. One of which was just wait till the second half.
Basically.
All right. What did I watch? What was I on last time? I was on the Korra one last, right?
I
last Korra one?
guess. Yeah. Well, no, Ava.
I was on Ava. That's right, Ava.
Yeah. Have you seen End of Ava yet? Just curious.
No.
All right. We
need
might
to
have
do
to
that.
find a day because
I want to do that.
I would, Jeremy. What do you? I think it would be fun to sit Andrew down and watch his reaction to End of Ava.
Oh yes. Oh yes, but if we're gonna do that though, we have to go with the trifecta of movies that make absolutely no sense within their own universe. That Cars 2, and
I should have mentioned that. Jeremy, me, and Tristan
this
watched.
was not new for me. In fact, I should preface this by saying, this is Alex's fault. I warned him what was coming.
Actually,
I told him it was atrocious.
Actually, hold on. I think. Can I? Is this partially my fault? Because we were talking about that on Monday about like the Pixar movies, and then you said like I really should go watch Cars 2.
Well, actually, yeah, that partially was.
So this is partially my fault too. So I'm sorry, Jeremy.
It was partially that, and I realized like Cars 2 was the only Pixar movie I hadn't seen, and I wanted to know what bottom of the barrel was for Pixar. So I watched it, and it is not boring. But God, is it stupid. It is insultingly stupid.
Oh, and to end off the trifecta, sorry to completely lose my train of thought, Shrek 4.
Oh. Really? See, I haven't seen...
It doesn't make sense. Shrek 3 is atrocious. Actually, no, Shrek 3 might be better for movies that don't make sense within their own universe.
Yeah, because I've not seen Shrek 4, but I really did not like Shrek 3.
Nobody likes Shrek 3.
Shrek
3 was not
because I heard Shrek 4 was like, it wasn't good, but it was better than 3 at least.
Yeah, but that's not... but
that's
Ben,
not a high
Benny
bar.
said that. Me and Benny were talking about that on Monday too, and he said that exact same thing, and I'm like, that is not an accomplishment.
It's not, but at least they didn't go worse.
That is not an achievement, though. That's like saying, oh, hey, you know what? That movie really sucked, but, like, here you go. Here's a medal that says you did slightly better this time.
I actually had a very, very nasty conversation with Alex about this after we watched Cars 2.
Oh yes, about people accepting lower tier quality stuff when they shouldn't.
People these days.
Actually, I'm actually on Jeremy's side on this one.
People these days accept mediocrity the same way they used to accept quality. I apologize. I don't mean it the way it sounds. Oh, actually, no, I do mean it exactly the way it sounds. I'm as guilty as this as everyone else.
That's true.
But you know what? I think we're all a little guilty of it. But we really do need to stop accepting crap as being anything but crap. Or things that are just average. We need to stop looking at something that's average and going, wow, that was spectacular.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Stop saying that. Just because it's better than the crap that came out with the rest of it doesn't... Okay, this is how I described it. Just because it sucks a little less than everything else doesn't mean it doesn't suck.
Yeah, I think actually a good example of that would be Big Hero 6, because I think all of us watched it and we all enjoyed it. You know, it certainly was a good movie, but it was not anything special.
It was average. I remember a lot of people ragging on about how it was amazing, blah, 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 blah. And they were trying to compare it to other animated movies that were out at the time. None.
Well, there is a Book of Life. I haven't seen it, but
Book of Life was also average.
Was it? I didn't really read
I hear a lot of people say they really, really liked it, but I haven't seen it.
It's pretty average overall.
But
it's not
no,
terrible.
like Big Hero 6 is one of those things that I compare a lot to like this, because Disney Animation Studios, they're like on this like, you know, huge like train of like awesome lately. So it's comparing it to their movies, and Wreck-It Ralph is still the best. So
yeah.
I even watched Wreck-It Ralph like on Sunday, and I'm like, I can still declare that like Wreck-It Ralph is still the best thing.
Yeah, well, like they had been going on.
Smash of Steve's a pretty high bar, though.
They had been going on a good train with Tangled. The Winnie the Pooh movie was fine for what it was. You know,
It was a
it was
Winnie the
not
Pooh
ambitious. It was a Winnie the Pooh movie, but it was well done for what it was. You know, then Wreck-It Ralph was great. You know, Frozen was great.
fantastic.
You know, Big Hero 6, good, but not great.
I would say it was average. It was a little, maybe a little.
I
above
think
average.
the stuff they did with the brother, like, gave it an emotional resonance that went beyond your typical animated film. Not by much. It was slightly above average.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
The one
above
thing,
average.
The
Let's
one
go
thing
with
I
that.
will give it
Yeah.
is it was significantly better than the comic book it was based off.
Well,
of. Again, that's not a high bar.
That's not a high
really
bar.
Not a high bar.
Not a high bar, and B, it is so divorced from that it is like only that.
That
in
was
name
a
only.
very good decision.
Which was
on
a
their
good choice by their part, but I'm just saying is that it is like barely related to the comic that it was based off of.
Again, a good decision on their part.
Which was, and I like the direction they took it in. I think the direction they took it in was a good choice for them.
Getting back to anime, though, we need to sit you down to watch End of Ava before
do.
break.
I
I'm
actually
deciding
do
we need to do
because
that.
did he tell you that I really, really like the original ending?
That's fine.
Really?
I don't really care. It's your opinion. Everyone's got an opinion, and that's fine. I personally don't care for Ava as a whole, mostly because you can tell the exact point in the show where it stopped being basically a story of a boy trying to grow out of his father's shadow, and it became a Anno being really upset with the universe.
Yeah.
You can tell where that switch happens.
You can
That's
tell
true.
it. You can
can't see
literally
that.
tell to the episode where can't remember the exact episode number off the top of my head.
Episode 14.
There it is.
Yeah,
You could-
no, that is exactly the episode that switches.
I think what really kind of bothers me with Ava more than anything else is that a lot of the psychobabble is pretty meaningless, and that's fine. The problem is that the fan base tries to assign meaning when there is none.
Yeah, well, I think that applies much more to the religious symbolism than with the psycho stuff,
Well, the
because they have
religious
fully
symbolism-
admitted.
Let's not get
Apparently
into that.
Was just completely thrown at the wall.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, like, I think we should sit you down and watch End of Ava.
I do want to watch
because
End of Ava
I
really badly.
I personally enjoyed it more than the end of the TV show, and I also want to see you get your mind screwed.
But you like do you like the show ending better than End of Ava?
No, I don't like either of them particularly.
So what about the rebuilds?
The rebuilds are okay.
Okay.
Although, but clarify, you have not seen 3.0, correct?
I have not seen 3.0. I remember. I think I saw. I can't remember
watch
which
those.
rebuild. Oh no, I think I saw 3.0. I just remember I saw the one that everyone hated.
Well, some of the
You have to be
older
way more
fans.
specific than that
Some,
because
some of the older fans didn't like 2.0 because it actually made Shinji look like he was going through some character growth and wasn't like Ava typical depressing in some ways.
I should clarify. It's been a very long time since I've watched the rebuild, so I have to apologize for sounding ignorant about it.
Were the Avas in space? If they were in space, it was 3.0. If it wasn't, it was
I
the
remember.
others.
Wait. Okay. No, this is okay. For one of the things. Hold up. No, that's End of Ava.
was
The
space?
moaning mass-produced Avas. That's End of Ava.
Yeah, that's End of Ava.
No, this is. I'm thinking of 2.0.
Okay, 2.0. 2.0 was actually pretty good in my opinion. But
No. Yeah, it's apparently character growth is a bad thing these days. Whatever.
yeah.
exactly. Anyways, getting back animation we watched since last time.
I'm trying to think. Did I watch anything?
Have you been keeping up with Fate Stay Night?
No, I'm waiting for them to finish Fate Zero.
So finish Fate Zero.
Well, we had to watch Ava.
But then you'll never get to know why people die when they are killed. I swear, if that line doesn't show up, I'm just
It's
gonna
not
be
going to
depressed.
show up. UFO tables are better writers than Studio Dean, and wasn't that like a fan sub, a bad fan sub?
I don't care.
That's pretty fantastic.
I also miss in Code Geass how God, what Suzaku never pleasured himself with that fish.
Yes.
So I need to.
This is what happens when Jeremy's on the podcast.
Hold on. I want to see that for some reason. Just
Oh,
for
yeah.
like
we'll
5
show you after the podcast.
So, all right. Yeah, I'm waiting for my roommates to finish Fate Zero, which we had to watch Ava, so we put Fate Zero on hold, and then when did we start watching?
I don't
We
know.
haven't watched anything.
Fine.
Actually, we watch Arrow. Like that's what we watch now. Because I want to catch up. Because I want to watch The Flash like really, really badly.
Well, I saw a thing on IGN. Wasn't there an Arrow
Yeah.
Flash crossover?
They had a
episode?
crossover.
Rainbow Raider, baby.
They had a crossover where they fought, and The Flash won. I assume because The Flash would win that fight in like 2 seconds, and then
Yeah, that's not really fair.
It's not a good fight. But then they teamed up and they fought something, and I'm like,
Rainbow Raider.
apparently they fought that. So
Cool. All right.
I actually don't know.
I haven't really
seen it.
watched any anime. Like over break, I mostly caught up on my like live action shows. That I
Well,
watch. So
that's
I
fair.
occasionally watch those
Because you have said that you're going to watch Bebop over the break.
That is my to-do list. That
And-
is that I'm gonna do Psychopaths and Bebop over break.
Good,
Those are
'cause
my
we,
like.
I'm now
Goals.
planning on doing Bebop when we get back from the break.
Well,
so.
I'm gonna commit to it. So
Good.
Yay!
All right, Jeremy, what have you been watching recently?
Whatever you've been watching, Alex.
Alex, what have you been watching?
Except for some of the creepy stuff that you watch sometimes.
Alex, what is the
Thanks.
creepy stuff that you're watching? I want to see.
You're
that.
a dirty weeb.
Hold on. What creepy stuff?
Creepy stuff.
Alex, are you hiding
I don't
things
know.
from me?
I hear horrible screaming coming out of his room every once in a while.
Oh.
I hope
Okay.
it's his computer.
Oh,
Horrible screaming, huh?
oh.
I don't.
I didn't mean like that.
There's-
Stop. Get your mind out of the gutter.
Okay, there's this one show. It's called like Madan no Vanity, Japanese title, whatever. It's like a fantasy action show. Actually, does like the whole political war battle thing pretty well. Also, a fan service show. So lots of girls with big boobs, and the animation's pretty bad, and all that. So it's like I like one part of the show, I hate one part of the show. So that's one of my guilty pleasures this season.
I should mention I was totally making it up, and he actually took the bait. So
I will
was
fully
begging-
admit I occasionally I watched through all of Rail Wars last season. Why would you do that?
Why would you? You described that to
Because-
me, and I'm like, that just sounds horrifying.
Because
Why?
Well, one, it was bad. It was really bad, but it was not like hateable. The characters were at least somewhat likable, which I could appreciate. Whereas with Glasslip, which is a show I watched last season too, I hated that show by the end because the characters were just
I hated it,
insufferable.
but I watched it the whole way through, so I can tell you how much I hated it.
That's part of it, honestly. I watched through all of Rail Wars so I could know. Okay, talk about it. How bad is it really?
I really wish you guys could see the face I'm making him right now. It's a look of disgust and shame.
I have gotten better with that.
Disgusting
I dropped shows this season. I made it 8 episodes in with Fruits of Gracia this season and dropped it
That sounds
because it was bad. It was
that
just
sounds
bad.
awful.
It was
I
a-
don't know that's about it. It sounds awful.
The animation was pretty good. It was a visual novel thing. It had potential, but it rushed. Like it would do a whole character arc for one of the girls in like an episode or two. So it was extremely rushed, and it showed in the production.
Oh.
All right. So, getting off of animation watch since last time, we're going to talk about Korra Book 4, episodes 7 through 9 today. Real quick, Andrew and I were on a podcast that we did before on some of the episodes of Korra. Jeremy wasn't able to be on those. So give us your thoughts on episodes 1 through 6 of Book 4.
Well, let's see if I can actually delineate them. It's been a while since I watched them.
From the beginning through where Korra got beat by Kavira.
Yeah, I know, Alex. Thank you.
Okay.
I was kidding.
All right. I wasn't sure. I don't know.
It's okay.
I don't know how the mind of a Jeremy works, the memory capacity.
I think that was an insult.
I know it was an insult. I'm just remembering that Alex is usually asleep by 4 in the morning, so I can strangle him.
It's true. I'm not trying to say.
Wait. Hold on. I want to ask a question. You stay up later than 4 in the morning, and 4 in the morning is like early for this. Like that is like, well,
No, I am always asleep by 4 in the morning. Well, not always, typically.
I can hear him snoring. He's actually pretty loud.
Am
like
I?
from my room, I can hear you snoring.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Would we sound like an old married couple here?
Oh,
We've been living together long enough.
Just like, hey, I know that feel.
Yeah, it's you and Peter married. We've
for
talked about
fuck's
that. Where were we? Korra.
Yes,
Books
Korra.
1 through 6.
All right. Well, okay. So now that Mike and I don't know if this is actually true, but now that Mike and Brian admitted recently on IGN, I believe that Legend of Korra is now Empire Strikes Back.
because it really
It's
is.
completely
It's
become it
getting
at this
more
point.
and more Star. Like there are more. Like Ryan and I sat there and we just made Star Wars jokes
now
the
that-
entire time we watched it.
So far, it's I'm not gonna. So far, it's been kind of a step down. I think plot wise from God damn it! Now I'm doing it too.
You mean Book 3?
Yeah, Book 3. I think it's a little bit plot-wise, a bit of a step down. Kavira is not a bad villain. My biggest complaint with her so far is that she's a little too perfect. Mm-hmm. She never seems like she's ever like even a quarter of a step behind. She's always too far ahead, and that's fine if a character's supposed to be like this super brilliant mastermind. Problem is that she's the mastermind. She's also a master of metal-based kung fu.
Yes.
But that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
She also
cool.
she also has Hitler like she has basically
She is Hitler like everything.
She has camps.
There are camps.
It's at least Mike and Brian have admitted basically that she is Hitler with her concentration camps. Wow, I just said that out loud. Yes.
No, they're re-education camps, Jeremy.
Anywho, Bolin has become. Bolin's basically he started out being extremely insufferable, and he's moving back up to he's nowhere near how much I liked him in the first couple episodes of season 1, but he's coming back at least, although he's still obnoxious.
We'll talk about that. I've been liking what they've been doing with Bolin personally.
Varric is still probably my favorite character in the show.
Varric's best character.
He is the best.
Now that I've talked about the characters, not the show itself, overall I've kind of liked what they've done with the plot. Little shaky at times, but overall it's certainly a step up from book 2 and definitely a step up from the latter half of book 1. So I'm happy with that at least.
All right, so diving into the first episode, we talk about episode 7, the reunion. This is basically an episode where the gang gets back together. Korra reunites with Mako and Asami, and there's kind of some.
And Korra and Asami are super shippable.
Yes,
and it's just getting ridiculous at this point.
Well, let's talk a little about the shipping. I know we don't usually do it on the podcast.
Let's not say we did.
Well,
but
I'm actually.
If Clara was here,
I'm genuinely uncomfortable with this. Please don't.
Well,
this is creepy, even by my relatively high standards of creepy.
I just wanted to bring it up because honestly, I think they've definitely been shipping Korra and Asami, like getting them closer this season. But personally, I didn't find what their relationship in book 3 to be romantic. I thought it was just a nice friendship, So I don't personally think at where it is right now in book 4, it's really a necessarily romantic relationship, just a close friendship between the two of them. But then the fact that Korra blushed when Asami complimented her hair, I honestly did not expect that. It makes it a lot more. The likelihood of there being a Korra-Asami ending went from 0 to being like somewhat plausible in my mind because of that.
Especially since Nick gave him the shaft, and I could just smell the screw you, Nick.
Maybe. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that it should happen. Like, I think that would be like.
So you're shipping
huge. Well, I think for like a lot of reasons. First off, for like a plot reason, it does make a decently large amount of sense nowadays, because. Really, despite everything, like, we know that she doesn't like Bolin. Despite that's like how she got introduced to the plot, like to Mako and Bolin through Bolin, and that like because Bolin really liked her, and then
still bitter
awful.
About that, just because
that was awful. But so we know that that's not a thing, because Bolin has Opal now.
Yeah.
And
you mean suicide chafe?
She's working. She's getting. Better.
Suicide chafes. Anakin is going to sacrifice him at the first chance. Oops, I said that out loud. I'm doing the Star Wars references thing.
It's all Star Wars references at this point.
Yeah, you should have heard us on the Swamp episodes with, what do we call her, Toda? Yoda Toph.
Actually, she's more like Shrek than Yoda.
No, it's really Yoda, and we're going to get into how much more Star Wars-y this gets because Korra develops the Force in this episode. So
she kind of does. I hadn't thought of it that way.
So it is the Force, and I cannot even...
But honestly, my personal prediction and what I think makes the most sense for the plot is for Korra to not end up with anybody at the end, to have a friendship ending.
But think how, like... impressive of like just like progressive the show could be by like allowing that to happen.
I agree that honestly I would respect the show a lot if it actually like made that legitimate. I'm just saying personally with how the story is right now, I wouldn't totally buy Korra and Asami being together because I'm not sure they've showed enough that the relationship is specifically romantic and not friend related. There's been some hints of it for sure, but I'm not sure if it's totally there.
No, but like it's getting more, like, especially these last 3 episodes that we're going to talk about, like, it's gotten more and more...
She did nothing with Asami in the most recent episode,
She didn't do nothing with Asami in the most recent episode because, like, she was off doing Avatar things.
Some people were thinking that this was going to be, kind of like the field trip with Zuko's from Avatar. This could be her field trip with Mako, and this was going to get them closer. That didn't really end up happening, which reinforces it.
Which is such a good thing.
It is a good thing, but reinforces it again for me that I don't think there's going to be a romantic ending. I don't see them having time for that with everything they have left to resolve.
I think they can do something with it because, like, I don't think there's, like, a huge step away from a Korra-Asami ending. So
it could happen. It could. And I like I say, I would respect the show a lot if it actually pulled that off, being a progressive thing from a children's show of all things, I don't even need to be here right now.
All right.
All right. So getting off the shipping conversation, Asami does get, she's happy that Korra's there, but she gets angry at her pretty quickly as soon as Korra brings up the possibility that her dad could possibly be tricking her. She's like, no, how dare you say that after coming in here after being gone for 3 years? Some tension there, and Mako's mad at Korra because he didn't send letters to her, which is a legitimate thing to be mad about, I should say, because I would feel kind of shafted if my best friend didn't send me letters and she did to some other person. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on?
Well, I mean, she just doesn't want to talk to Mako, so whatever. And nobody wants to talk to Mako, so
he's not that bad, guys.
But she really, it is interesting that she did only send it to Asami, send a letter to Asami and not to Mako or Bolin.
Right. I understand that, and that is something that you can use for the shipping argument, but my point, at the very least with Bolin, they would be there to support her, Like, yeah. I understand why she
Korra was
couldn't
dealing with,
accept that.
the actual, depression.
Thank you, Jeremy. All right. So, I don't know. Personally, I felt like how angry Asami got was maybe a little forced, but whatever.
Well, she got over it pretty quickly.
Or what about the point where Prince Zuko fails as a bodyguard and says, it's not my fault he got kidnapped because I wasn't doing my job?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was absolutely his fault. I mean, it is kind of ridiculous for Wu to take him with him to the bathroom, but of course, the one time he doesn't is the time he gets kidnapped.
He's his freaking bodyguard. He should be shadowing him everywhere, especially when they've shown that there are already psychos trying to take him out.
It's true. When you're in a war state kind of environment with your home nation, you would think he would be a little bit more on guard, maybe.
Do you honestly think that the Secret Service don't accompany the president into the bathroom?
You have a point. Although he was saying that he in the past he stood outside the door, he didn't go in with him.
Yeah.
Least.
Gee, maybe he should have done that this time.
Except he did. So whatever.
Maybe.
Mako's
just terrible at every job he's ever had.
He really is. He was a bad Nightwing, and now he's a bad bodyguard. So
hey, like I say, Book 2 did improvements to Mako. They actually made him smarter in Book 2.
That's true.
But
he did have some occasional good points, even though he could never make up his mind.
The B plot in the episode is with Bolin and Varric doing their whole shtick.
They're the best together.
Yeah, I loved it when they got caught up in the net. Bolin was wishing that Pabu was there, and Varric said, "You know who else had incisors that could cut through anything? Julie." I just love all of. If there's any ship that's going to happen at the end of the show, it's going to be Varric and Julie, and I'm going to laugh because it's going to be great.
Honestly, what I really liked was as kind of silly as it was the way they did it, I really liked how they actually did remind everyone, hey, yeah, Varric isn't just isn't BSing his way with the science stuff. As silly as he acts, he actually is as smart as he says he is.
It certainly looks like he made some sort of EMP.
Yeah, he made he made an EMP thing that was really cool. I like how in sync those two are together, because when they got captured by those random benders that were escaping their concentration camp thing. They just look at each other, and Varric just knows to jump when Bolin does, the ground smashing thing, and then he throws all the lava, and I'm like, you two are just, the best
They're
team.
bros. They're bros. They were bros back in Book 2, even when Varric was kind of being evil.
Kind of being evil.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Come on, a man is allowed to blow up his own building, right? Come on, guys.
There's no law against that.
But yeah, talking about that, I did like the mech fight in that episode. Mechs were cool. Bolin lava bending was cool.
Bolin is so good at his job.
He is.
I don't know. It feels like ever since this season started, they've kind of depowered lava bending.
Well, I mean, honestly, this I actually did appreciate the fact in this episode that the mech fight, the mechs jumped over the lava. We're still doing decently well against him because they don't want to make lava bending too OP.
Then they probably shouldn't have introduced something that's hey, yeah, I'm just throwing the hottest, probably the hottest naturally occurring substance on the planet at people.
Well, at the same time though, Bolin's also not as good at it as the other guy was, because the other guy was
but he
he
fought Gazan in a lava bending battle and wasn't losing to him. At least they seem to be pretty evenly matched.
Yeah, but Bolin is still new to the thing, and he's still learning how it is. It's the end. It was the end of the show. They had to do climactic things. Mako won his thing by
because he remembered he had lightning.
Because he suddenly remembered that lightning was a thing.
This has become a serious. I think Mako might actually seriously have short-term memory issues because he forgets he has lightning a lot.
I actually explained that back in the Book 3 podcast. I'm not going into it now, but Bolin has had 3 years to practice lava bending, though. He should be pretty good at it by this point.
Well, yeah, but still, he's not
yeah.
know.
I mean,
those four were supposed to be really, really good at their jobs, anyway,
and that's true. But 3 years to practice means he shouldn't be a total scrub with it.
And
And I'm not saying he's not a total scrub. It just feels like everyone like reacts to it way quicker than they probably should.
But then, like, at the end of that, I liked a little bit of development moment for him where Varric's like, let's go. And he goes back and saves the people, and lava bends the entrance and, like, totally makes the guards run away because they don't want to get their faces melted off.
And
so there's a point where lava bending was extremely effective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, this is kind of a minor thing, but didn't they think last episode that Varric and Bolin were dead? Like, why do they have wanted posters out for them?
That's kind of a plot hole.
Yeah, that is kind of flawed. They did think that they were dead, so it
like,
is weird.
I honestly, what I think it is Batar Jr. came back and told Kavira, hey, they're dead. I saw it blow up. And she's like, well, no, they totally could have escaped because I'm a smart mastermind and I know how these things work. So put out arrest papers for them.
Remember what I
anyways.
said earlier?
Yes.
This proves my point.
It proves your point. It makes Kavira competent, and I wish they had shown, like, just a short scene of that maybe happening, like, at the end of last episode.
Again, I don't mind that she's competent, but this is a step too far.
We don't know if that happened. That's my best explanation for why it happens, because otherwise I don't know why they're looking for them, unless they sent out word that, like, they needed to look for these people before Varric and then blew up the thing, which doesn't make sense because they're going to the camp, so
Yeah,
that
makes
falls apart.
There's literally no argument for it. Either Kuvira knew that they somehow survived, which is, like I said, kind of crap, or it's just a plot hole.
Yeah, one of the two.
I mean, yeah, it is, and it's just a great tension when they were trying to get through the gate because otherwise, Bolin and Varric like totally had that.
Yeah. And then going back to the Korra plotline this episode, I like that Korra's using the vine thing that she learned from Toph.
Use the Force.
To use the Force.
Hey, so I want to point this out.
Okay.
She went to Dagobah to learn from the Master, and now she's back, and now she's like, hey, I'm suddenly much better at this thing. Using the Force to just, figure out everything that I need to know. I'm like, wow, sooner or later we're just going to get to Return of the Jedi again, and she's just going to be
We're getting close to it.
We really are getting close to
Especially since the gang's all back together.
Yeah, they are all back
Just wait
together.
for someone to lose a
just
hand.
like in Star Wars.
If someone loses a body part, loses an appendage, that's it. We have
She's going to cut off Kavira's hand and then look at it and throw away her weapon. I won't fight you. But
you know what? That might actually happen. You don't it really, really might. Like, think about it.
Although throwing her weapon doesn't work as well when you can literally bend the elements within
but not like the
yourself.
throw away her weapon. But she's like, I won't fight you.
It could be. I don't know.
No, what I'm hoping for is Opal does just completely lose it and just bend the air right out of Kavira's lungs.
Honestly, I was listening to this other Avatar podcast and they talked a little about that, like if Opal went full Anakin.
She is
and
going a
I
little
think
crazy.
I don't think that's going to happen, but it could. Because she's been shown to be like angry, like, Jinora was like, no, you're an airbender, you shouldn't be doing this, you took an oath, and she's like, no, I gotta go get my family back, we're gonna kill Kavira.
You were my brother, Anakin.
I loved you.
You took an oath.
No,
you mean that really non-specific oath I took? Oh crap, she's right.
See, but the thing with Opal is I'm like, okay, so your plan right now is to go and try to save your family and also probably try to assassinate Kuvira. I feel like I've heard this plan before.
A couple times, actually.
When have I heard this plan before? Oh, wait, that's right.
Lynn.
Hey, you know what? Maybe not a good plan.
Sue. Sorry.
Sue, your mom, also was turned into the aggressor by trying to assassinate a political figure in the government, which is not a good way of handling
But
this.
as we said, their mission is to go save the family. They're not going to kill Kavira because Kavira
Do you really think that Opal is going to stop there?
Well, obviously, like if they rescue the family and they hear, oh, Kavira is attacking Republic City, they're gonna go help everybody.
But they're going to go help. But think about this. Kuvira could be banking on this to declare war on the Air Nation.
I guess she's going to attack Republic City anyways.
Yeah.
The Air Nation is associated with the United Republic, so she's declaring war on them anyways.
I know she's declaring war, but this is the catalyst for it.
But
this makes her look like the non-aggressor.
So you're saying Opal
the firebenders could be like, yeah.
Opal is going to attack her before she comes to Republic City.
I'm saying that Opal that her mission right now that she's going on is going to end up getting botched because as it turns out they all just suck at covert stuff.
Might be all the bright colors they wear.
Yeah, crazy. And then Kuvira's going to look like, see, the Air Nation tried to, the Air Nomads just tried to assassinate me, kind of like in Episode 3 when Mace Windu tried to assassinate Emperor Palpatine, which he used as an excuse to eradicate all the Jedi.
All right, that's a good analogy you just made there. I can buy that.
Because it's all
Shredded
Star Wars.
Shredded Cels, the anime podcast that's entirely about Legend of Korra and Star Wars.
We did a Star Wars extravaganza.
How long did we talk about Star Wars in my podcast on Monday? Because it was probably about half the
That's
episode.
true. It's
We
true.
talked about a minute of footage.
All right, but getting back to this current episode, I had a little bit of a problem with the vines thing. Not in that she used it on the vines, but that when they were on the train
Oh
station.
yeah, when she just leaned down and like I can feel it.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
you really do have the Force now.
Yeah, like I understand working with the vines. That makes sense. How can it work on metal train station platforms?
Because-
something spirit metal something.
No,
something.
because Zier did say in episode 9, it's like, yeah, the city is teeming of spirit energy, and she can tap into that through the Force, which is the Force to her, because it is the Force to her. So we're just going to replace the word
That's
spirit
actually-
with Force, and go on.
That's actually a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
Because he
so.
does say that, though.
Fair
It's like,
enough.
that's why he can go into the spirit world, and he's like, I'm over here, like 5 miles away, buried underground.
I would just love to point out the fact that Zahir's punishment is just not a punishment anymore, because it's like, yeah, no, I'm never here anyway.
I can meditate away from this.
Well, there's literally nothing they can do to stop him from doing the spirit world thing. So
I mean, yeah,
I'm
but
sure there's some sort of magical clamp they just haven't mentioned. Or they could feed him the co. They can always feed him the co.
they could just kill him, but capital punishment apparently isn't a thing for the White Lotus. But whatever. They go to rescue Wu on the train. Kind of a cool fight scene happens where they're escaping on the roof, all that. And at the end, they all sort of say, "Hey, we were arguing earlier, but I still love you guys." They have
and
the
then
group
Korra
hug.
really, really hugs Asami, and then Mako kind of awkwardly forces himself to be into that hug too.
You're really going full
It's not-
Korrasami here.
No, I was not the only one. Everyone who was watching with me was like totally totally agreeing with me. Like, no, she really just wanted to hug Asami, and then Mako's like, I want to be on this too. Yeah,
right.
sure.
I
you can.
more appreciated the fact that she just pushed Wu out of the group hug.
That was good.
But and at the end of the episode, there's a good cliffhanger with Kavira, cutting the vines of the Banyan Grove tree in the swamp, which apparently have even more spiritual power than the ones in
Which
Republic
also,
City.
okay, so now we can talk about the other thing that the show wants to be about, which is how nuclear energy is bad for the environment.
It's a commentary. See?
See, I'm not so sure they've even implied that yet.
Well,
What do you mean you haven't implied that yet?
No. They just implied that it makes bombs, and bombs are bad. Okay.
But
okay.
but I want to point out that first off, it is so nuclear weapons eat like it's
Yeah,
so
it's clear.
at the
It's-
atom bomb.
The dubstep bomb is clearly a nuclear
So-
weapon.
So, but they are making it by literally tearing a forest that is alive down. How much
It
are they
doesn't
going to
make
get
any-
subtle anymore?
See, the thing is, though, they've said in the past that you can't really destroy the spirit vines. They pop back almost immediately. Varric's original plan was not to make a weapon. Remember that. It was
he
actually
wanted
to make
to
an
use as like a power source, which once again, the nuclear power thing.
Except Varric did also point out that you can't actually get rid of the vines; they just come right back.
I know, but it's gonna be like one of those things where it's like, but we're using it for evil, so blah,
Yeah,
blah,
I mean,
blah,
and
blah,
as long
blah.
as they harvest enough of them, and they get away, then it doesn't matter if they grow back as long as they have enough to make their bomb.
to make their nuclear weapons.
Exactly. Blow up Republic City with it. And then we get episode 8, the Remembrances.
Let's
We're not going to talk much about this episode, but
Actually,
I need to
really,
go.
I think this is the best the best way to handle a clip show.
They
though.
did-
It's still not a.
It's not a good episode because it's a clip show episode, but they handled it well given the situation.
I thought it was really funny.
I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here, though, because
Oh.
the night before.
let's get comfortable.
Jeremy's walking away. The night before, Brian Knitsko made a Tumblr post where he basically said, "Yeah, I know you guys have been hearing these rumors about tomorrow's episode being a clip show, and it is. Nick gave us the budget to make 13 episodes, then midway through our production said, we're cutting some of your guys' budget." So their two choices were to either cut staff, whom they said that they would not have been able to make the last few episodes without, and they're just not going to be jerks and fire their staff, or B, make a clip show episode, which really bummed them out, but he actually used Samurai Champloo, he referenced that, where an episode where they did commentary on the past events, the past adventures, to try to make it more interesting. And so, Mike DiMartino actually storyboarded and directed the episode, and they added the little, chibi talking heads during some of the narration, and then during the Varric bit actually made it really, really good, in my opinion.
I actually really do like the Varric
The
bit.
Varric bit was amusing, and I also kind of appreciate the fact I feel like the whole reason they probably called back Steve Blum for that whole episode was they can make it with the jokes with zombie Amon and how he just disappeared, and it was great because as soon as Bolin says, "What happened to Zombie Amon immediately goes, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's just a story, man."
No, like there's
Yeah.
like some like
There's some good meta stuff.
there were some good meta jokes there. I actually really like the Mako chain of the story because they're just like, wow, you're a jerk.
Yeah,
like they just literally spent the whole time like, wow, you suck.
Well, it was great because Wu is basically a stand-in for an audience because when he quote-unquote broke up with Asami in book 1, Wu was like, well, what do you mean that was a breakup? That was really kind of
That was
vague
not
and
a breakup.
bad. And that's apparently something fans were mad at them about. And then when he broke up with Korra in book 2 and then kissed Asami, Wu was like, no, you broke up with Korra and now you're out with Asami. You officially ended that relationship. You know,
that was good stuff.
it was a good like meta thing with them
Yeah.
commenting on their own criticisms.
And then
you
I got
know?
to rewatch one of my favorite scenes from season 2, which is where Korra runs up and kisses him, and he just has that look like, oh, we have a fight? Yeah. I don't really remember it. Was it bad? No,
it wasn't bad.
It was fine. I love that scene because like just the expression on everyone's face is like,
and
wow.
and even the
This is
Korra
awkward.
part of that, which wasn't nearly as funny, but it got into a little bit of her narrating about how like the Avatar isn't needed anymore, which is some good stuff for her
which is that
character.
theme that like we've been talking about that we think that the show was adopting, which
Yeah.
I totally said.
And honestly, it's true. That's what everyone was saying. And honestly, it's a clip show episode, and it's bad because it's a clip show episode,
Yeah.
but it does have one of the funniest jokes in all of Avatar with the conference call of the villains.
I
Like
love the
that
conference
is
call.
one of the best jokes they've ever written.
I love the conversation.
Did I catch it, Hope? Of course you did. Where else am I going to be?
No, like I love that, and I love how like, because it's so cheaply done, it looks like somebody like a fan did it.
Well, because they
Which-
photoshopped it
which
themselves.
is like so funny to me.
that is literally what zero budget looks like.
I know. Well, no, I've watched Ava. I know what zero budget looks
Yeah,
like.
it's true. He really does. But yeah, I loved it because, like they said, Vatu, the biggest, meanest, scariest kite who ever flew, you know, and Unalak, the disappointing and unpopular dark sorcerer.
And I love that
Who
they
no
brought
one
him
seemed
up.
to like.
But
Nobody.
they brought him back up in the full, Ming outfit from
Yeah,
like
the nuntuck.
the Nuntuck. Like he's like Ming from Flash Gordon. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, so honestly, that whole bit was great. You know, at the end where Steve Lum's character said, "Don't think about it too much, man. It's just a mover." You know, kind of meta commentary on you fans shouldn't think too much about it. It's just a TV show. You know.
Just think about it. Just don't think. And then Bolin has
You know.
and then they even Photoshop Bolin's face on
Yes,
like giant spirit
Photoshop
Korra.
the fairy wings on Junora.
Yeah.
I loved all that.
Which
So-
is really funny, but then Pete's like, "Hey, I forgot she had fairy wings. Like she didn't have fairy wings." They added that for fun to make this joke
So
funny.
I honestly, this probably would have wasted or used up more time and budget than they had. But I would have loved it if Varric had just done the whole recap episode like that, because that could have been really great.
That would have
Actually,
been really great. But
but
like,
you know,
I like the Mako story. I thought that was funny.
it was pretty good. But you know, I commend them for making do. You know, I think it was the right decision to do a recap
Also,
episode, not
Grandma
fire
Mako.
everybody. Grandma Mako was funny
God,
with Wu.
you're just like your grandfather. I thought that was
I
the
loved
funniest
her.
joke.
I loved her just going crazy over Wu as soon as she saw him because she loves royalty. But I would like to say that this was the straw that broke the camel's back with Nickelodeon, but that is absolutely not the case because the straw that broke the camel's back was book 3 and the shitty way they treated that show.
Yeah, like by taking off the air before the season ended.
That and the fact that they put it on like a week with a week's notice and no advertising.
Yeah, I was mad about
Like,
that too.
Unfortunately, and Jeremy and I were talking about this, it is highly unlikely, in my opinion, that Mike and Brian are going to make another Avatar show because Nick owns the rights to it, and I have a feeling that they do not want to work for Nick anymore.
That's what I said. That's what I said in the last podcast.
That
Like, they're
being
not gonna do
said,
another
I
one.
immediately followed up with, if the money is right, they'll be back.
Yes, if they really like need money or
Oh,
something.
don't talk need, Alex. If everyone has a price.
I mean, it's.
Okay, let me rephrase that. I'm not trying to say that they are unscrupulous. However, if Nickelodeon offers them enough money, they're going to immediately forget all wrongs.
But why would Nick offer them money? Like they clearly aren't interested in this at this point.
Well, the
Yeah,
thing
that's
is,
the thing.
interests change. In the next 5-10 years from now, who knows? We might be looking at an entirely different setup.
It's true. The way that they have treated Korra, though, and taking it off the air makes me think that Nickelodeon is also less interested in a new Avatar show. Or this is something I am a little scared of. 5 years from now, they want Mike and Brian to do another Avatar show. They don't want to do it because Nick sucks. So they get somebody else to do it, and so we get a show that's not nearly as good.
Well, no, like what I'm confused about is like,
Michael
what
Bay
if they do
presents.
make?
Shut up.
If they do make another Avatar show, like,
M. Night
With-
Shyamalan.
with-
No,
presents. With Mike O'Brien.
Hidekiano.
Let me-
Hidekiano's
with Mike
Avatar.
O'Brien, who is that for?
Sorry, what do you mean by that?
Like, if they make another show, like, what is the target audience? Is it us again? Because if we're being entirely honest, like, at least 70% of the target audience is us for Korra.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then
There's
the
a lot
other
of
30 is for kids.
There's a lot of young fans
but
for Korra,
those
too.
kids, because I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, if the show stopped being on TV, I thought it was done. And if I was unsatisfied with an ending,
True.
then I would be like, well, that
But
show
you have to,
has this awful ending. And now all these kids who grew up with Korra are going to grow up like, well, that show never ended. Why is there another Avatar show?
well, but
And they're going to discover that there was a whole nother season that they never watched because it was never
but
on
you have
TV.
to consider that these are kids growing up like 5-10 years after us, where the internet is a much bigger thing than was
I
when we
know,
were kids.
but,
so
like-
I'm sure they understand that Korra's. A lot of them understand that Korra's online now.
Do they, though?
Also,
Because
that's
like,
actually something.
I wouldn't put that much effort into my TV watching when I was like 8 or 10.
Well, I don't know how kids are these days. Whatever. They are actually airing Book 4 on Nicktoons now.
I did hear that they were bringing it back, but like, are they going to
Oh
finish?
boy,
season
the
3?
Disney XD of Nickelodeon.
Basically.
Are they
Whoop-dee.
But are they going to bring back Book 3? Like,
Uh,
'cause, like that never got finished.
Well,
on TV.
No, actually, they did the same thing with Book 3. Like around the time it was ending or after it was over, they put Book 3 on Nicktoons. So Korra has aired it. Will air in its entirety on TV, just not on the main Nickelodeon channel, and not when it was supposed
Just
to.
like Rebels.
Well, no, Rebels never got taken off the air.
You're right.
did it?
Rebels
X-
never got taken.
It's
but it
still
will.
on XD, which is is effectively not being on the air.
But like they're screwing it basically, and at the very least though, Korra is getting an ending though, unlike Young Justice, which I'm still very angry about.
Very
Friend,
Yes,
buddy.
sure.
Stu Snyder says you.
I know I hate him, but he got fired, so screw him.
All right, yeah. And one other thing, actually, I just saw this today, but there's this thing called the Gallery Nucleus, which is some art gallery in California, and apparently they're doing some sort of like Korra art thing where they're like showing official art from the show. Mike and Brian are going to be there. They're accepting fan art. They want people to come and cosplay. They're doing that for like 2 weeks in March. It was just announced today, so that's kind of a cool fan
That's
event.
cool.
Nick's putting on. So there's that. Whatever. Episode 9, Beyond the Wilds. We start the episode with good old Ryu from Book 3 leading a tour group and then immediately getting kidnapped by a bunch of vines, which apparently he's also got his hair dyed, kind of like Skrillex did.
Yeah, he's new Skrillex, and he is new Skrillex, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, I forgot that he was a person. Right?
You forgot that he existed.
Yeah, because it was like it was
in
supposed-
2
like
episodes?
a 2 minute. It was like a 2-minute joke.
He was
like
a
in the
2-minute
last
joke.
book.
Well, he did show up in the Airbenders episode last season too, but yeah,
He
very
was-
little screen time.
He was a 2-minute joke. 'Cause I'm
I
like, oh,
appreciated
yeah,
I appreciated the photographer was like, I'm gonna go poke it with a stick. The logical decision to make.
which he's like, no, don't, and I'm like, no, just let him. Natural selection is totally a thing.
Yeah, we don't need him anymore.
But
But
let natural selection happen sometimes.
Korra, Opal, and Janora figure that out, go to this meeting that's going on, where Raiko once again proves that he is a total dick to Korra.
Why? I don't understand. Literally every 5 minutes, like that man's attitude on Korra changes like a coin flip. Like
He's a
sometimes
politician.
but like I don't
point.
understand why he does these things.
Politician.
But there's no logic to it.
Politician.
It is true that Korra totally interrupted that meeting when she wasn't supposed to.
She should be there. She's
Well,
a world leader. She's an important. Well, she's not a world leader, but she's important
Well,
to the world.
I have no idea why
Last
Wu
year
was
she
there.
hasn't been.
I have no idea why Wu was there, and she is legitimately.
He has no government structure to stand on. Well, she even says like, "Why is he here?"
Yeah, no, she should be there and not Wu. Certainly.
I mean, the Fire Lord was there for like literally the first time ever she spoke.
Not true. Well, the first time ever she spoke, she was there at the coronation.
Yeah,
of
in the
Wu.
background, sitting next to Zuko, who also, once again, is like one of those characters from the first show that, like, hey, we're not going to give any screen time to him and have them do virtually
He
nothing.
did a cool thing in Book 3. He had
did
a cool
like
fight.
one cool thing in Book 3.
He did, but that was more the guitar has done.
That is more than guitar's done, which is not. It's
It's not saying a
much.
lot, but it's something.
It's still not even half of what Toph has done in one episode, and she got 2.
Well, Toph got to be Yoda.
Yeah.
Zuko didn't get to be Yoda.
Yeah, Zuko hasn't got to do anything.
You got to ride around on a dragon
You got
and
to
then
ride on a
reminisce
dragon.
about the good old days, and that was it.
And then Katara got to heal some people, and then Sokka got to be dead. So
Yeah. Pretty much.
Being Sokka
But
is suffering.
But the issue is, I expect it from Raiko at this point. Like, whatever, he's a jerk. What I was a little bit upset about was the fact that Tenzin was so like, we're not sure if we brought you back at the right time, kind of doubting.
what do you
Korra.
got? Like, what are you on?
It's because I feel like Mike and Brian sometimes don't know if they want to make Tenzin like sympathetic or they just want to paint him as this like out of touch asshole.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, because Tenzin has gotten very little screen time this season, compared to last season where I actually got a decent amount of cool moments to him, and I'm okay with that. They've been focusing on other characters, but I do feel like it was a little out of character for him to lose faith in Korra that quickly. Obviously, yes, she got her butt kicked by Kavira. Obviously, yes, she's
everyone's gotten their butt kicked by Kavira. She is unstoppable at this point.
Well, that's getting back to Jeremy's issue, but. It's obvious to everybody that Korra still has issues that she's working through, and she does. But that doesn't mean that you push her out of a meeting and put Wu in there instead.
I think the point of putting no, I can tell you why Wu was there. It's because even if he's just a figurehead of state, he still needs to be there.
I guess for the formality of it, he needs to be there. But the ministers behind him were the ones who were going to rule the country in this place anyways. Where are they?
They're too busy either serving Kavira or being in her death camps.
Most likely. I actually remember there's a pretty good chance that Kavira already kidnapped them because she clearly has multiple kidnapping plots running simultaneously.
That is
She has
certainly
a lot
possible.
of things going on right now. Is that right? She's got this like Thrawn thing going on, and
but I appreciated. I saw so many people saying, "And the Fire Nation didn't attack." Because Izumi was actually like, no, we're not getting involved in this preemptive strike business.
So suddenly the Fire Nation, I'm like, so look, the Fire Nation has decided to become America, and this is World War II still. Like, no, it's not our problem. We'll deal with it.
Just
Never.
making Book 4 even more World War II than
Look,
it already
it
was.
is Star Wars and World War II. It is Star Wars World 2.
All right, that was a little forced.
We're going to figure this out. I'm going to work on this.
God damn it. I didn't even mean to do that.
Thank you. But we're going to work on that.
All right. So that happens. Bolin and Varric interrupt the meeting, talk about the spirit bomb thing, and Bolin and Opal kind of talk to each other. Opal's like, yeah, no, I'm not totally forgiving you right now. Opal talks to Lynn. We're going to go do the secret mission thing.
We're going to go assassinate Kavira because that worked out so well last time we did that.
Stop saying that.
What do you think that they're going to do?
They're going to rescue their family. Assassinating Kavira might be the second thing they're going to do, but right now they're focused on the family. Saving the family. That's what Sue wants to do. If Sue gets out and is like, let's go kill Kavira, then you can say that.
I'm going to call this now. Anyone want to take bets against me?
No.
I hope that Sue has enough common sense to be like, obviously go fight Kavira, but I hope she's not going to be like, yeah, let's go kill her again, like assassination,
because that worked
mission.
out so well last time.
But there was just a tiny little thing, but I did appreciate it when Bolin and Varric came in. Like everybody, there was a shot of everybody looking at them, like, and everybody was surprised. And then Korra just had like this dumb big smile on her face when she saw Bolin, and I appreciated that because it's like, I love Bolin. And she and Mako and Bolin kind of had like a talk where they came to terms with Bolin and had a nice group hug. And then and when we come back to that scene, though, Bolin has mysteriously vanished, and Janora's telling Korra and Mako, hey, I got kidnapped. Come save me from the vines.
Well, yeah, but no, because Bolin was, too busy stalking Opal at that point. And remember...
He wasn't stalking her.
Okay, fine. But hey, do you remember that point when Opal was like talking to Lynn, like, "Hey, we can't ask anybody to do this for us because nobody will help us."
Well,
then literally Korra, Mako, and Bolin, I'm like, you could literally ask any one of them and they will volunteer for whatever suicide mission.
It was Lynn saying that to Opal. Opal didn't.
Yeah,
say
I know,
that.
but they were talking about that, and I just turned and there was this shot of the three of them walking out. And you could ask literally any one of them and they will help you.
You're correct. I don't. I think Lynn should know that they would immediately help her.
I don't think it was a matter of if they'll help us. I think it's a matter of, is it worth anyone else's lives? And they're trying to keep this in the family. I think the whole thing, the joke I've been making is that Opal is never going to actually, I know this isn't what's going to happen, but I think this is hysterical if it does. Opal's never going to actually forgive Bolin. Bolin is now just suicide chafe.
So you think Lynn is viewing this as like suicide mission, like we're not endangering anybody else but ourselves to rescue our
and then
family.
Opal immediately says, wait a minute, here's a scapegoat for us.
Here's someone that I can throw at that.
Okay, here, Bolin, go into the middle of their camp, sneak in there, then lava bend the crap out of them, and we'll come in and get you out. And by coming and get you out, I mean we'll rescue my family and leave you to die.
That seems like a lot more heartless and cold for Opal.
No,
than, like,
it's
we've,
not
like,
going to happen,
like,
but I'd laugh if it
displayed.
did.
Well, if that actually happened, she just left her there. And everyone just looks at her and she's like, "What? I did what I had to do."
Then she is full Sith Lord.
Yeah, then she is Anakin.
She really is. So then Mako and Korra go into the vines, and Korra tries to go into the spirit world to save
Mako
them.
doesn't do anything.
Mako does absolutely nothing, and Korra is
What else
blocked.
is new?
Is blocked from the spirit world by her memories of Zahir. Decides I need to go confront Zahir, which is what fans have kind of been speculating from seeing that trailer. I'm so glad they did it because it was a really good scene.
It was actually a really good scene.
I will say, his whole thing where he was like locked up, like they chained him down, but his mouth was still exposed. He could airbend out of his mouth, like so. He is still kind of dangerous.
He really is.
This is just something very important to point out. In a world where you can literally escape from the world through the power of meditation, incarceration isn't exactly the major threat it used to be.
It's not. Although very few people can go into the spirit world, but Zahir can. So yeah, it makes his imprisonment a lot less of a punishment, as you said.
Well, I can't fly in the spirit world.
Oh no.
Oh no, but you're free there, you whiny little turd.
Basically. But I like that scene a lot. You know, she was like, I'm not going to be scared of you anymore. And then he flies at her face. It's like, you look pretty scared to me. You know, but it reaffirmed that Zahir actually believes in what he says, which is something that I respect about him.
Weird, because what he believes in is still stupid. So,
But he,
Neither here nor there.
but he believes in, Korra says, you know, you created the worst tyrant the Earth Kingdom's ever
he's
known.
like, well, I
He's
feel
like,
bad about that.
I've heard about that. I feel bad about that. I don't like world leaders. I don't want tyranny. You know, this is the opposite of what I want. So I'm going to help you because we have a common enemy.
Remember-
I want you to go deal with that.
The best way to describe Zahir, at least in his beliefs, is that he's so he believes so strongly in them that mere facts cannot shake it.
That is true.
Like I talked about in the Book 3 podcast, I can see why people are swayed to his point of view, especially the downtrodden people who are being oppressed by the Earth Queen or by Republic
But
City.
and then I said like his thing was like just like Amon's thing, but his thing makes a lot less sense than Amon's did, because Amon's like had legitimate points.
Well, Amon's was more of a political revolution. Let's put benders in charge. Zahir's was let's kill the leaders and let everybody kind of rule themselves. Anarchy, freedom.
I'd just like to
Anarchy
point
is
out that
stupid.
I'd also like to point out that Legend of Korra has also just become a Shin Megami Tensei game at this point.
Are they?
Your choices
are
are law and chaos.
Yeah.
well, that's true. I mean, it's always been a very political show, you know. Except Unalak is the only villain that really have a political agenda of some sort.
Well, he could totally have a political thing. He wanted to be like the Pope Dark Avatar thing.
Except spirits aren't really religious in the Avatar world in any way.
He was portrayed as being like very religious, despite the fact that like nobody else is.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like nobody else is.
But
so he wanted to invent a thing.
But yeah, Zahir kind of tells like Korra in her fever dream to like, you know, accept it, you know, don't be afraid. You know, she comes into the spirit world, you know, kind of talks to Rava, you know, bend the energy, you know, here you have all the power, you know, and frees everybody. Nice little scene, you know, music there was really good. It kind of played like the Korra theme that Jeremy Zuckerman has composed. I also really like the voice acting in that scene, like Janet Varney's read of like, you ruined me, you wrecked me. Like you really felt Korra's like trauma, I think, in some of her lines, and like Zahir talking about how you say your power is limits, but I say it's limitless. You know, you're only holding yourself back. I hope that plays dividends in the finale where she goes Avatar state and does something really epic. You know, that like we've never seen before. And another plot line that I really loved in this episode was Opal and Bolin. Bolin trying to win Opal back by lying about breaking his legs,
Clever.
which is a smart idea. And Opal's response to that, I wrote it down here because I really, really loved that line. She says, oh, steam buns, my favorite. This will totally make me forget that you worked for Kavira. The person who captured my family is probably torturing them right now. So yeah, let's just sit down and have a great picnic because we're so in love. I'm sorry you had to see that, Pabu. Like, they've put more development into Opal this season than I thought they would, and I appreciate it because she really has grown as a character from Book 3.
Because all in Book 3, she was like that really nice girl that we could ship with Bolin, so that Bolin could finally be happy.
Yeah, and like she had a little bit of depth in the, like that she didn't like it when Bolin was like trying to fake being cool. You know, she wanted him to be who he was. You know, she was.
Yeah.
But
she was that nice girl that like
yes.
Bolin could be happy with because
Yes,
Bolin deserves to be happy.
She didn't have a lot.
Now
of
now
Book
she's
3.
Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah,
so
now she's gonna go full dark side. So that was good. And then at the end of the episode, I liked Bolin's kind of more heartfelt, like saying, I know I screwed up, but I still love you. And Opal kind of reacted to that and said, "Do you want to come on this suicide mission with me?" And of course he says yes.
Come to the suicide mission? Yes, I
Win
do.
my heart back. So yeah, that's the episode.
Die for me.
So let's do some overall thoughts on these 3 episodes and talk a little bit about our thoughts of what could come in the future. Personally, for me, episode 7 was a fine episode. There wasn't that much wrong with it, but it didn't move the plot forward a lot. It was more of a kind of breather episode after the intenseness of Kavira. So, it was just okay. Recap episode, bad as a recap episode, or bad as an episode, but for a recap episode actually was pretty good.
Like I said, I think this is the best way to handle a clip show because I think it was at least funny and
yeah.
It's pretty enjoyable to watch.
The fact that you can say that the recap episode has one of the funniest jokes in your entire series means it's probably worth watching at least a little
bit. Fair. I wish they had done a little bit more of it. Maybe not exactly, but something similar to at the end of the first show when they did the play.
That would have been too expensive.
Yeah,
that would have been too expensive. They could something like that. More commentary on their own show.
Right.
That would have been funny.
The more commentary in the show, I think I can agree with. And then this most recent episode, Beyond the Wilds, I really liked Zahir. Honestly, I would say I do like Zahir more than Kavira because Kavira's grayness for me has kind of been ruined because of the whole camps Hitler thing. Whereas
Hitler.
Zahir, as he proved here, actually did really believe in what he said, and was a really competent, scary, but also kind of a guy you can see his point, sort of villain.
Kind of, sort of. His
so
point wasn't stupid.
I personally like Zahir a lot. I really like that episode. It's questionable whether or not this has really resolved Korra's mental issues. We'll have to see. But I really enjoyed that episode. Andrew, what would your thoughts be?
It's the continuing question of Korra's mental issues that is interesting to me because they keep trying to they keep doing this thing in the show where they're trying to resolve it like the way a TV show would.
Mm-hmm.
The way they resolved a lot of the conflicts in the Last Airbender is yeah, you're gonna we're gonna actually metal bend the poison now. We're gonna have you sit down and talk and face your enemy. When really, I think they are trying to do this subversion of that where they're yeah, no, that's not how this works. She just has to find it in herself and actually move on through her move through her depression as a person would instead of finding all these TV show ways of solving a problem.
Are you saying they should have spent the recap episode with Korra in her head doing a full Shinji monologue?
No.
I mean,
going full Ava.
I mean, no, that probably wouldn't be a good thing for this show.
But no, I did want to talk about that a little bit because honestly, if Korra's mental issues are resolved and they aren't brought up again in the last 4 episodes, I could accept it. It was resolved enough in this episode that I could accept it, but I would feel a little disappointed.
I'm glad that they brought it back because I felt that thing that she did with Toph was not a good that was I started that's not. This better not resolve this thing because this is not how you do this.
Right. Well, and they didn't. She solved the issue in episode 6. I feel like if they're trying to say this is what fully fixes her, it's not quite enough because Zahir basically just said accept it. Don't be afraid. You need to do this yourself. You're suppressing your own power. Sort of thing. And at the end of the episode when she talks to Mako, she's like, I haven't forgotten about it. I'm not totally past it, but I can accept it. I can accept it for what it is.
Step forward.
Right. It's another step forward, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see her flashing back to Zahir taking the air out of her lungs. But I would expect to see maybe Nightmare Korra show up again.
That will probably happen.
I feel like it's not totally resolved yet. And I'd like to see them do a little bit more with it, which is weird to say because we're really close to the end of the show, and she has to get over it eventually. And I understand they're running out of time, but I would love to see them do one more big moment of it before she really gets to her absolution.
Yeah.
What would you say to that?
Yeah, that definitely needs to happen because I do think that, like I said, she needs to resolve it within herself, which is I think the most important thing for this moving forward. Because otherwise, it's just this very TV showy way of dealing with it, and that's not a good thing. Otherwise, I like the episode so far. This is like I said, if they stick the landing, this will probably end up being my favorite season of the show. So, Kavira wasn't even in any of these episodes.
I mean, she showed up a little bit when the vines in the tree, but barely at all.
She said maybe.
I also looked something up just for reference. if you look at where we left off at episode 9 in book 1, that was right before Amon invaded Republic City. Right after episode 9 in book 2 was right before the Bolin Nuktuk episode that was really good.
That was the best
and
episode.
right before right at the end of episode 9 in book 3 was right before the episode where Zahir killed the Earth Queen. So Korra has a tradition of really picking itself up in the last few episodes, and we're on to the last 4 now.
Yeah, so
I have a feeling it's going to get really good.
Well, it completely drops the ball in the finale.
It could. It's possible, but I have more hope in Mike and Brian than that.
Full Ava.
Oh God, I hope not. Jeremy, what are your thoughts on the Korra healing herself thing? Like, do you want it to be resolved here, or do you think they still need to do more with it?
My honest opinion on it is probably the same as yours. At this point, I'm happy with what they've done. If they decide to go a little bit more with it, I'm good with that too. But if it becomes another major, if it continues to remain a major plot point, though, it's gonna drive me insane, because at this point it will become beating a dead horse.
I guess I don't know. Like, I could if they ended it now, I could accept it, but I would be a little disappointed.
Oh, no. I'd like it to show up maybe a little bit more, but I don't want it to be like some primary plot point still, because again, it's starting to become beating a dead horse.
Yeah, we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe it showed up in like episode 12, like the penultimate episode, like to sort of set up, the dark moment, and then the last episode is like, Korra coming out of the impossible situation, Return of the Jedi style.
And she dies.
And it could happen, honestly. I would not be surprised if Korra dies at the end of this.
That'd be a bold move.
Yeah. Well, the reincarnation cycle makes it a little less impactful, but
still think about it. Like, they didn't kill Aang at the end.
Well, no, obviously. Well, Korra's way darker than Avatar ever was.
That is true.
So.
And like, because the big central conflict was them not killing
Ozai
at the end, which, even though literally everybody told them, like, just do it.
No, not doing that. So, Jeremy, what are your thoughts on these 3 episodes?
I think you know my opinion on episode 8.
Right, recap episode.
Yeah. Episode 7, kind of boring. Nothing really happened. Not necessarily a terrible episode, but there was a lot of seemed like about half the dialogue was kind of forced. Episode 9 was significantly better in that regard. It felt like everything was much more, aside from maybe some of the stuff with Opal. Like, I understand that, yes, she's becoming a little more bloodthirsty as things go on.
She's a lot bloodthirsty now.
For whatever reason, it seems like every one of Sue's kin is a bloodthirsty monster.
I forgot to mention that, but we skipped over the scene where...
I would say that Lynn's not.
Lynn's okay.
We skipped over the scene where Sami and Varric are being forced to work together by Raiko to do something to counter Kavira, and she grabs his hand and says, "Don't betray me again." And he gives the, what do you mean? I blew up my own building. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Which I just loved. But they're obviously going to build maybe something related to that EMP thing to counter Kavira. That's my prediction. Other thoughts about what's going to happen. Obviously, Kavira's going to come to Republic City. They got to do something with Wu. They got to bring the Zhu Li betrayal thing back.
Yeah.
There's a lot of plot threads still hanging here.
I'm not going to make any more predictions, because the one time I was right, I was really unhappy that I was right.
Which one was that?
Was it Dark Avatar?
It was Dark
Avatar.
Avatar.
Yeah.
That didn't
It wasn't
last.
just that. It was the I actually I don't remember if I mentioned this to Alex. I said, I bet you the two of them are going to combine, and then he's going to turn into something stupid like a giant. That was my exact words.
Which was the thing.
But the Pacific Rim fight was cool.
It was cool.
You admit that. I remember you watched that episode with me, and we loved that.
Yes, it was cool right until the ending.
Well, the ending has some issues.
Until Janora, I really, really liked the ending of season 2. So
yeah,
and I was okay with the Dark Avatar.
Okay, let's not get into this conversation.
All right. So I don't know. Anybody else have any other predictions about the future episodes?
I feel like I stated all my crazy ass predictions.
All right. Real quick, I'll go over the episode titles we talked about. Episode 10, called Operation Beifong. Bolin helps Opal and Lin save the Beifongs from Kavira. Korra visits the spirit world. I like the sounds of that.
You do the spirit world.
We'll see.
No, she has to go commune with the Force some more.
Episode 11, Kavira's Gambit. Korra and Team Avatar try to stop Kavira from moving against Republic City.
Yeah, so that would be the invasion.
This is the episode title I'm most interested. Episode 12, Day of the Colossus. Team Avatar clashes with Kavira on the streets of Republic City. And then episode 13, The Last Stand, when Korra comes face to face with Kavira, the fate of the Earth Kingdom is at stake. So, I should also bring up that those episode descriptions sound pretty bland, and they are. Apparently, this is like just some random TV like descriptions for like the future episodes, and they had the same thing for like book 3, like Korra confronts Zahir, to stop his evil plan, when in actuality the finale of book 3 was like this awesome, amazing thing.
Well, that's how it works, and they want to avoid like spoilers or like even vague plot hints.
So like those are pretty bland plot descriptions. But we're getting the Spirit World next episode. That's kind of exciting. Maybe we'll see Iroh.
I mean, maybe Iroh will show up, also taking more screen time than like, almost every other
he's serious.
He'll be Yoda too. It'll be great.
Everyone.
He was always Yoda.
He really was. All right, so thank you guys for being here for this discussion with me. I had a good time. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this podcast. Jeremy just hurt his foot, apparently. For those who enjoyed listening to this podcast, you can email us at techheads@avwproductions.com. You can follow us on Twitter at techheads. You like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes. Give us good ratings and reviews. We always like hearing from you guys. We're going on winter break here, so we won't be back until January, but I'm hoping to do either Cowboy Bebop or Tatami Galaxy when we get back. So that should be exciting. I've been wanting to do Bebop for a long time. And so Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all of you, and we will see you in January.
This product is copyright AVW Productions 2014.